Former Toro Rosso driver Jaime Alguersuari recently took to Twitter to claim that Red Bull dropped a potential F1 world champion in his former teammate Sebastian Buemi, who went on to win a Formula E title and the 24 Hours of Le Mans 4 times after being dropped by Red Bull. This got us thinking, and we've decided to rank the 7 drivers whose Formula 1 careers ended after being dropped by Red Bull. This ranking has been voted on by the WTF1 team and our friends at the race, and is based on both the drivers' performance during their time in F1 and also what they went on to achieve in the rest of their racing career. The list only includes drivers whose Formula 1 career ended after being dropped by Red Bull, which is why people like Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon aren't included. 7th, Scott Speed. Scott Speed became the first American to take part in a Formula 1 event since Michael Andretti in 1993, when he took to the track at the 2005 Canadian Grand Prix as a test driver for Red Bull. He would be given a drive alongside Vitantonio Liuzzi for the following season after Red Bull purchased Minardi and created the brand new Toro Rosso team. Unfortunately for Speed, it didn't go well. He raced 28 times in Formula 1 with no wins, no podiums, and no points. He was unlucky with reliability issues, but also found himself tangling with other cars on multiple occasions. Out of his 28 races, he DNF'd 11 times. That's 39.2%. Speed lost his Toro Rosso seat halfway through 2007 to a young Sebastian Vettel. It's probably fair to say that turned out to be a good decision. 6th, Brendan Hartley. New Zealander Brendan Hartley flirted with a role in Red Bull's setup between 2008 and 2010, being given the role of reserve and test driver multiple times before being replaced in the position by drivers who would go on to get promotion to race seats, Jaime Alguersuari and Daniel Ricciardo. Red Bull withdrew their support for Hartley in 2010, but 7 years later, he was back, making his debut for Toro Rosso at the 2017 US Grand Prix in place of Pierre Gasly, who had a clashing race in Japan. Hartley would stay on for the rest of the season, as Carlos Sainz was loaned to Renault and Daniel Kvyat was dropped for Gasly. Hartley had the ride full-time in 2018 and did have 3 point-scoring races, but he also had some bad crashes, and other drivers, including Lando Norris, were being linked with Hartley's drive from quite early on in the year. He ended the season with only 4 points and finished 25 points behind his teammate Gasly. He made way at the end of the season for Alex Albon and hasn't raced in F1 since. 5th, Sebastian Bourdais. A highly successful IndyCar, Champ Car and sports car racer, Bourdais lined up alongside Sebastian Vettel for Toro Rosso in the 2008 F1 season, and would ultimately spend a year and a half with the team. He scored only 6 points during his time in Formula 1 and finished the 2008 season 31 points behind Vettel. Bourdais retained his Toro Rosso seat for 2009 alongside Sebastian Buemi, but would only last half the year before being replaced by Jaime Alguersuari. Bourdais was advised to sue for breach of contract, and Toro Rosso settled the matter in the form of a $2.1 million payout to avoid litigation. Something of a happy ending after all. 4th, Jaime Alguersuari. Alguersuari became the youngest driver in Formula 1 at the time when he piloted a Toro Rosso at the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix, less than 3 weeks after he took his role as reserve driver for Red Bull and Toro Rosso. He had a difficult start to his Formula 1 career, with DNFs in 5 of the remaining 8 races in the 2009 season. He retained his seat for 2010, where he managed a fairly unremarkable 5 points. He would drive for Toro Rosso again in 2011 and had a much better showing, scoring 26 points. But it would be his last year in F1, as Toro Rosso opted to swap both drivers out for new, exciting prospects Daniel Ricciardo and Jean-Eric Vergne. 3rd, Sebastian Buemi. Buemi will most likely be remembered for the incident at the 2010 Chinese Grand Prix, which saw his Toro Rosso's new lightweight suspension break, causing both front wheels to fly off simultaneously. Buemi raced for Toro Rosso between 2009 and 2011, scoring 29 points in the process. Buemi's time at Toro Rosso can be compared directly with that of Jaime Alguersuari, and whilst Alguersuari did score more points in his F1 career than Buemi, Buemi was generally more consistent than his teammate. He also went on to win a Formula E title and was victorious at the 24 Hours of Le Mans 4 times, placing him higher on our rankings than his former teammate. 2nd, Daniel Kvyat. Kvyat spent 6 seasons in Formula 1, making his debut in 2014 with Toro Rosso. A fairly impressive season gained him promotion to the Red Bull seat vacated by Sebastian Vettel to be alongside Daniel Ricciardo. He outscored Danny Ric in 2015, finishing 7th in the driver's standings with 95 points. He stayed on with Red Bull for 2016 and scored a podium in China. The next race, however, saw Kvyat demoted to Toro Rosso after a collision with Sebastian Vettel in the Russian Grand Prix, and he was replaced by young prodigy Max Verstappen. Kvyat would race 3 more seasons in F1 with Toro Rosso, which then became AlphaTauri, and whilst he wasn't world-class, he was certainly consistent. It's fair to say that Kvyat's career took a massive hit to make way for Verstappen. His performance in the Red Bull certainly didn't warrant his demotion. But it's also fair to say that from Red Bull's perspective, doing anything to get Max Verstappen in the car turned out to be a fantastic decision. First, Jean-Eric Vergne. Jev completed 3 seasons with Toro Rosso between 2012 and 2014, and whilst his results were never overly impressive, there are a few factors to take into account that have secured his place at the top of our list. Vergne matched Ricciardo for pace pretty consistently, outscoring his teammate in 2012 and running him close in 2013 as well. Vergne then comfortably outscored the rookie Daniel Kvyat in 2014, but was overlooked for the promotion to Red Bull Racing in place of Ferrari-bound Sebastian Vettel, and was then dropped from Toro Rosso to make way for Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen. Vergne has further proven himself as a driver since his Formula 1 stint, winning 2 Formula E World Championships. It seems that Vergne was unlucky not to be given more of a chance in Formula 1. He lost out because of Verstappen's emergence, and Kvyat being a younger driver who was well liked by Helmut Marko. Do you agree with our ranking? Let us know what you'd change in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe for more F1 content.